Chair Gall, you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the August 8th, 2022 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance today, please note that this Planning Commission meeting is being held using the Zoom webinar format. So you will see that the planning commissioners and staff are panelists. Please note that there are several ways to submit comments during this meeting. You may raise your hand in Zoom by clicking on the raise hand button located at the bottom of your screen. Members of the public who are participating in the Zoom webinar by phone can dial *9 to raise a hand. You may also send your comments by email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. The length of the email comment should be commensurate with the 3 minutes customarily allowed for verbal comments. If you are an applicant or an applicant's representative, I will ask you to raise your hand when your agenda item is up for discussion so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. We ask that you also turn on your video at that time so we can have more clear communication, simulating the experience we would have if we were meeting in person. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube and will be uploaded to the city's website after the meeting. Agenda item number 2 is the roll call. The record should note that all 7 members of our commission are present this evening. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of the minutes. We have meeting minutes to review and approve for the meetings from June 27th, 2022 and July 11th, 2022 regular planning commission meeting minutes. Are there any comments, changes, or discussions regarding the minutes?
Chair, I was not there for the June 27th meeting, so I would not be voting on those minutes.
Okay. Any other recusals on the vote for the minutes?
Same story for me on June 27th. I was also absent.
Okay. Then
And I wasn't there for the July meeting.
All right. Then I'm going to do these separately. Do we have a motion for the approval of the June 27th meeting if we have no corrections?
I'd make a motion to approve the June 27th meeting.
Okay, and I'll second that. So we have a motion by Commissioner Haran and a second by Commissioner Say. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Camarado.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Say.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff.
Aye.
And Chair Gall.
Aye. So the motion passes 5-0-2-0, I believe.
That's correct.
All right, and now do we have any changes for the July 11th, 2022 meeting minutes? No, then can I have does anyone like to make a motion for the approval?
I'll make a motion to approve those meetings minutes for July.
11th, yes. I'll second that. So we have a motion by Commissioner Camarado and a second by Chair Gall. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado.
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid.
Aye.
Commissioner Say.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff.
Aye.
And Chair Gall.
Aye. This motion passes 6-0-1-0. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, Ruben?
No suggested changes from staff.
Okay, and recusals? Commissioner Say?
Sorry, I do have a recusal for item 8A. Is it 8A 713 Howard Avenue?
Okay, thank you.
And the reason is because we're the architect for the project.
Thank you. And are there any other recusals?
Yeah, I need to recuse from 8B as I'm within 500 feet of the property.
Okay, thank you. Is that it? All right, and there are no changes to the agenda, Ruben?
Correct.
All right, then I'm going to move on to agenda item number 5, public comments non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future planning commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please speak clearly into the microphone. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda?
Chair Gall, I'm not seeing any, and we do not have any public comments submitted through email.
All right, then we will move on to the next item, which is study items, of which I see none on our agenda. So we'll move to the consent calendar, and we have one item on the consent calendar, item 7A, 1430 Palm Drive. Were all commissioners able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication? No. Okay, items on the agenda on the consent calendar are considered to be routine. They're acted on simultaneously unless separate discussion and or action is requested by the applicant, a member of the public, or commissioner prior to the time of the commission votes on the motion to adopt. Would any member of the public or the applicant like to pull this item for discussion, or would any member of the planning commission like to pull this item for discussion? No. Then do we have any no comments? No, I have a motion.
I'd like to move that item 7A be, I guess, approved. Is that okay?
Okay. I'll second that motion. So we have a motion by Commissioner Pfaff, Vice Chair Pfaff, and a second by Chair Gall. Any discussion on the motion? All right, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camerado?
Aye.
Commissioner Haran?
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid?
Aye.
Commissioner Say?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff?
Aye.
Chair Gall?
Aye. Motion passes 7-0-0-0. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. So we'll move on to regular action items. The first item is item 8A, 713 Howard Avenue. If you're the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? No? Okay, and Commissioner Say is recusing from this item. So let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and special permits for first and second story plate heights and second story balcony for a new 2-story single unit dwelling and detached garage. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing single unit dwelling and garage to build a new 2-story single unit dwelling and detached garage. The total proposed floor area would be 3,129 square feet, where 3,179 square feet is the maximum allowed. The applicant is also requesting a special permit for a 9-foot 6-inch plate height at the first floor, where 9 feet is the maximum allowed, and an 8-foot 6-inch plate height on the second floor, where 8 feet is the maximum allowed. A special permit is also being requested for a 75 square foot second story balcony at the rear of the house, and the maximum allowed is 75 square feet. There would be a total of 4 bedrooms in the proposed dwelling. 2 parking spaces, one of which must be covered, are required for a 4-bedroom house. The proposed detached garage provides 1 covered space, and there's an uncovered space provided in the driveway. All other zoning code requirements have been met. The project includes building a new accessory dwelling unit at the rear of the site. Review of the ADU application is administrative only and not reviewed by the Planning Commission. Staff reviewed the proposed ADU and determined that it complies with all ADU regulations. At the Planning Commission Design Review Study meeting on July 11th, the Commission had several suggestions regarding this project. The applicant submitted a response letter dated July 20th and revised plans date stamped July 27th. 2022, to address the commission's concerns. The suggested findings for design review are found on page 3 of the staff report, and suggested findings for the special permit are found on page 4 of your staff report. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take questions of staff if you have any. Otherwise, I'll let the applicants in to make their presentation.
Thank you, Ruben. Are there any questions of staff? No? All right, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
The property owners are here, and I believe Lauren Lee is also just coming online here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. My name is Lauren Lee, and I'm representing Kevin and Christine Chung, and I'm from Inside Design.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, as you see from the letter, we've addressed the 3 comments from the previous design review meeting. If you can take a look at the rear rendered elevation, we complied with the suggestion to create a full gable at that elevation, substituting the wraparound roof. Okay, and then second, the comment about the trees, the one that you're seeing now at the rear, and 2 that are flanking the front elevation. We have improved the renderings by putting the true trees that will be planted, the maple trees, the Japanese maple trees, in their matured state. And then to address, are there any questions regarding the first 2 comments?
Now, once you go ahead, and then we'll get to our questions after you're finished with all of your additions.
And then the third comment regarding the plate heights. We have maintained the 9'6" plate height for the first floor and the 8'6" plate height for the second floor. As you can see from the renderings, the second floor plate height actually works quite nicely with the articulation of the scale of the home and the design that runs around the perimeter of the home. One item to note is that for the proposed new home, the first floor level was actually lowered 18 inches than what is existing to help with the overall height of the structure. And so that was something that we thought would benefit the overall design. And I can answer any other questions you have about that item.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? I don't see any hands, but I have one question. On your response to number 3, you said the finished floor height of the house has been reduced by approximately 18 inches. That I'm not sure. The plans I have reflect the same elevation height, overall height, as the first submittal. Was that in reference to the existing house, or?
It's in reference to the existing house as it is today. So
Okay.
Currently the first floor, you walk up several steps to the first floor, finished floor height. And in the proposed design, we have lowered that to by 18 inches.
Okay,
Not
so
stepping up as many steps to enter the home.
So your overall ridge height is still at 29.9 or 3 or so overall? You're just under the 30 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions for the applicant? I don't see any hands. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments? Well, again, I don't, oh, there we go. Commissioner Schmidt.
Been a while since I've had to raise my hand. No, I appreciate the applicant hearing our comments, and I think that the change in the rear really does make a big difference. And I think it looks a lot better. And overall, I think it's a nice project, and I can see it going forward.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that. I think to me, it just looked a little strange last time, and the changes is also the help of the rendering is great to actually see how their proportions work, and appreciate the changes with the specification of the tree, and I think it's very nice. I also think the space is broken up pretty nicely, and I don't really have any further comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Lowenthal. Oops, did I see your hand up? No.
No, but I could make a motion to approve if we're ready.
Yeah, unless, does anyone else have any other comments? No, actually, I have one comment. I'm still struggling a little bit with the plate heights. I'm fearful of setting a precedent. We've been pretty consistent in keeping the plate heights at 9 and 8 feet, and the house does squeeze to the maximum height limit. It also isn't helpful to have the lot so built out with the ADU and the garage and the ridge height being at the maximum height there as well. So I'm a little bit torn about this one. I think it's a really nice looking house, but I'm afraid that in that neighborhood with all the single story homes, this is going to dwarf a lot of what's going on there. There are some 2-story homes, but there's not a preponderance of them. So I'm on the fence on this one. I'm not 100% sure yet. All right, any other comments? If not, I'm going to turn it back over to Commissioner Lowenthal for a motion. It's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Gull. I move to approve the project as spelled out in the findings, and yeah.
And Commissioner Lowenthal, just to make sure that includes the approval of the special permits for the plate height and the 2nd-story balcony.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, it would include the permit for the plate height and also the deck.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
And that was Commissioner Haran?
No, Commissioner Schmidt.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No worries.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lowenthal and a second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any discussion on the motion? All right, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff,
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Nay. Motion passes 6-1-0-0, and an action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. So we will move on to regular action item 8B, 2229 Adeline Drive. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? No. And there are no recusals. So let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and special permit for declining height envelope for a 2.5-story addition to an existing single unit dwelling. The applicant is proposing a rear addition to all living levels. The lower floor addition would include an accessory dwelling unit. The proposed FAR is under the maximum allowed, and the existing parking spaces in the detached garage and in the driveway meet parking requirements. The application includes a request for a special permit for declining height envelope for a 169 square foot encroachment on the left side of the proposed second floor addition. The commission reviewed this project on the study calendar of the July 11th, 2022 hearing, and the applicant has submitted a response letter that's included in the attachments. The neighbor to the rear of the project had concerns about privacy, and in response, the applicant has labeled the existing shrubs along the rear property line as being 8 feet 6 inches in height, and noted that these shrubs will be retained during construction. The neighbors to the rear submitted an email dated August 1st, 2022 with concerns about the project, and that email is included in the staff report attachments. Suggested findings for design review and a special permit are included in the staff report, and I can take any questions you have at this time.
Thank you, Erica. Are there any questions of staff?
Chair Gall, just to clarify, Commissioner Lowenthal is recused from this.
Oh,
item.
I'm sorry.
Yep,
That's correct.
just for the
Okay.
record.
Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I know I asked this before. Just would be good to sort of make sure that everybody understands it and me again. So it's a very large, I guess, terrace, but you're saying that it's not considered to be a second story terrace. Am I understanding that right? Because it's not the legal height. Can you just repeat that, what you said before? Because I just can't remember.
So to be considered a second story deck, which would require a special permit of any size, but is limited to 75 feet, there would have to be measurement of at least 9 feet from grade to the finished floor of the deck, and this only measures 7 feet 6 inches.
That was
so.
Okay,
it looks like a second story, but it does not meet that requirement.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions of staff? And seeing no hands, I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Good evening, Commission. It's Tim Berdines, project designer. I will kind of keep it short and sweet. After our first meeting, we had minimal comments. I did reach out to the neighbor that had concerns. We're going to work with him, even with our existing landscaping. If we need to add another tree, we could do that, and we'll, definitely work with him. We've had a few emails back and forth, but that's really it. The concerns of privacy, we do understand, but there's an existing window there already. And we are kind of proposing a very kind of minimal addition to the house. So hopefully everyone understands what we're trying to achieve here. And I'm open for any of your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? I do not see any hands. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
I'm not seeing any, and we don't have any public comments through email.
All right, then I am going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, the project is a good one. It's the same as it was before. And I think he's done a good job with this addition. And I think it's gonna look really really good back there. So I support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Camerado?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Schmid. I think that this is a great little project. It looks like the rest of the house, which I really like. I think it's well done. I would like to make a motion to accept the project as per the staff report with a special permit for the declining height envelope. Along the left side of the house, 169 square feet of the proposed addition. So that's my motion.
All right, I'll second that motion. So we have a motion by Commissioner Camerado and a second by Chair Gall. Any discussion on the motion? And can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camerado,
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Foff,
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Aye. The motion passes 7-0-0-0. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. And we will move on to our final regular action item, item 8C, 935 Paloma Avenue. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Yeah, I do not see any hands. So let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, I am prepared to do that. I'm trying to get Commissioner Lowenthal back in as a panelist, so just give me one. Give us a little bit more here. There we go. Okay. Great. So this is an application for a conditional use permit for a bathroom, which includes a sink, toilet, and shower in a detached garage at 935 Paloma Avenue, zoned R2. The staff report contains detailed background information regarding the accessory structure since the applicant applied for a building permit to construct the detached garage in 2018. The applicant is required to convert the use back to a garage and storage area. However, one available option includes having a bathroom in an accessory structure with approval of a conditional use permit. Therefore, the property owner is now applying for a conditional use permit to retain the bathroom in the detached garage. 2 off-street parking spaces, one of which must be covered, are required and provided for the existing 3-bedroom house on the site. With this application, there's no increase in the number of bedrooms in the main dwelling, and all other zoning code requirements have been met. Suggested findings for the conditional use permit are found on page 3 of the staff report, and I'd be happy to take any questions you have of staff if you have any.
Any questions of staff? I just had one question, Ruben. So in the original approval and building permit, there was no bathroom at all. Is that correct?
Correct. So that was installed during construction before the final inspection, and that's when it was noted that work had been done. And at that point, the building division gave him some options to convert it back to what was approved, or what was being what the building permit was for, or apply for an ADU. However, as noted in the staff report, it is in a flood zone, special flood zone, so there are special requirements which require the finished floor to be raised by as much as 1 to 2 feet. So that just wasn't feasible for the applicant. So that route isn't a possibility. So now he's requesting for a approval of a conditional use permit to retain the full bathroom.
Okay, which was not part of the original approval. That's
Correct.
my, okay.
Correct, yeah.
All right, thank you. Any other questions of staff? No, so I'm going
I have
to.
a question.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Say.
Commissioner Say, I didn't see your hand. Commissioner Say,
I
sorry.
just Change the color of my hand because you often don't see my.
Or
Make
your
it-
ceiling.
Make it pink or something. I'm not sure if the question was answered already, but was the work done on the bathroom inspected?
I don't know that it's been inspected yet because probably not because the building, that's not what the building permit is for. So that will have to be done if the CUP is approved tonight. Yeah, all the plumbing, electrical would have to be made sure that it was done appropriately and complies with building code requirements.
I see. Okay. So they retroactively kind of go back and inspect it.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Vice Chair Foff.
Well, I don't know. I'm just have to ask, was there a reason given? Like, we just thought it would be good to put a bathroom in? Is there any explanation for putting something in that was not actually part of the permit? Or was just done and?
Yeah, so the applicant is here and he can answer that question.
Okay, Commissioner Camarado.
Oh, hello, commissioners.
Oh,
Sorry,
well,
Mr. Scoville, hang on one second.
Sure, go ahead.
Commissioner Camarado, do you have a question of staff?
Yeah, so my question for staff is, do they have to remove the entire bathroom now? Since it hasn't been inspected, or I mean, the toilet and the sink and walls, or not?
The only case where the bathroom would have to be completely removed is if the conditional use permit is not approved tonight. But no, the bathroom does not have to be removed. If the use permit is approved tonight, inspectors will be able to go back in there. They might have to, demolish portions of a wall to make sure the electrical was installed correctly and that sort of thing. But we are not requiring the bathroom to be completely removed unless, again, the CUP is not approved tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions of staff? No? Okay. Then I am going to open the public hearing with the applicant. Please come forward, state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project.
Oh, hello, commissioners. My name is Will Scoville. I'm the resident 135 Paloma with my wife, Emily, and my two kids. We use this garage for storage and for a workshop, so the bathroom is for convenience. When working outside or working in the garage, to have a bathroom out there. We still maintained our 1920s cottage house, so we have a very small house. So it's certainly, we just decided not to demolish it, and so we have a very small house, and certainly having the extra bathroom is convenient when working in the garage or in the yard. So that's why we did it. I would say it's in keeping, well, it definitely is in keeping with the neighborhood. There's multi-family units on this block. The property directly to the south of us is a multi-family unit. And I might add that the bathroom, all the plumbing's on the rear of the property, as is this, because the easement is on the rear of the property. So the sewer line goes right to the back. So it's very convenient, unobstructed to anything. So the multifamily unit to the south of us, to the north of us, there's a very large ADU that was approved just last year or this year, which is on the rear of the property as well, where there's the bathroom and plumbing. So it's in keeping with the neighborhood and also very convenient for us.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Vice Chair Fox.
Okay, so I agree with everything you said about the house and the cottage look and everything. I don't think, maybe I'm not understanding the sequence of events, but I'm trying to understand why did you put a bathroom in without a permit? I guess that would be the straightforward way to ask, or is that not what happened?
It was just I guess I was naive. I don't know how else to answer that. But saying, and now we're doing it right.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Gall, you're muted.
I gotta find the button to push. Okay, Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, thank you. So out of curiosity, I know that it was suggested to actually convert it into an ADU, and to do that, you'd have to raise it to meet, the floodplain requirements. Just what would be the short answer as to why you can't do that?
Well, I mean, the foundation's poured, and it just would be cost prohibitive to raise it a few feet. We'd have to knock the whole thing down, really. So I would love to have done that. In fact, we really wanted this to be an ADU, but it was obviously unable to do it because of the flood zone. There was some miscommunication, but I'm glad that we have this possibility now to at least keep the bathroom.
Okay, and I understand the bathroom need. Was the kitchenette also for that type of need, or was there any other reason why you originally had thought to put in a kitchenette?
It's the same thing, convenience of having a cottage house. Just the more space, the better for that type of stuff. When working out there in the garage, having a kitchenette, and then at some point, yes, sure, we would have loved to have an ADU, but we never had anyone live out there, nor did we ever plan to, really. It would have been nice to have an ADU. I don't know, maybe for the valuation of the property, but we never had any plans to have anybody live there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other question? Any other questions of the applicant? Are there any members of the public who would like to speak?
So Chair Gall, there's a public comment that just came in. Let me just, the question is from Van Lee. Her question is, why do you need a bathroom in a garage and a kitchenette? So I think that was already answered by the applicant. And same question was asked by a commissioner.
Right.
No other public comments have come in.
Okay. And if there are no further questions for the applicant, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments? Or any discussion? Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, I'm not really in support of the CUP because I feel it's creating a non-conforming ADU. It's per Public Works, it doesn't meet ADU standards for the floodplain. And I think by having these extra facilities in the garage, it becomes an ADU. And so I think that kind of is trying to circumnavigate the issue of habitability. It should be a garage or storage, but it shouldn't be an ADU. So I'm not seeing why we should be doing a CUP for this.
Okay, if I'm reading this correctly, and Ruben, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the application is for an ADU. It's for a full bathroom in the garage, which could facilitate an ADU, Commissioner Schmidt, but at the moment, there is no application for an ADU, nor would it be allowed by the city code. Is that correct, Ruben?
Yeah, that's correct. And, this could apply to any detached garage in Burlingame where somebody could illegally put in a bathroom. In this particular case, they would not be able to get the garage approved, for example, get the final inspection, and then apply for an ADU permit because, again, it requires the finished floor to be raised. So, any property could be illegally used, I guess. But in this particular case, the application is just to have the bathroom in the detached garage. And we've had some of these approved over the years, even prior to the ADU regulations, which made things much simpler. But correct, the application before you is just for a full bathroom in a detached garage. And I think Scott has his hand up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, and code enforcement would be looking at this should it be rented as an ADU, we do have enforcement that we do. We actually have a contractor that monitors that to make sure that it's not being rented out on the main website. So I just wanted to at least put that out there that although it could be done, the city does monitor it for compliance, and we would take enforcement action should it be used incorrectly.
Thank you. Commissioner Camerata, no? Okay.
I had my question answered.
Okay. Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, I mean, on its own, I don't have a big issue with the conditional use permit, but unfortunately, the provenance of the story concerns me. The fact that they attempted to put in a kitchenette leads me to believe that there was more planned for this unit than what's currently being presented. I don't think most people, and I think people understand this, that when you put an ADU, most people don't want to put the kitchenette if it's part of the formality. Certainly a kitchenette, in most people's cases, I think goes unused. Maybe extra counter space. So the fact that they're putting it in makes me believe that there was maybe an attempt to have someone live there. I personally think that would be a dangerous thing if that's what they were thinking of doing, since it doesn't meet our public works requirements. So I'm not really in favor of this on its own, the way it was done, because like I said, if it came to us fresh off the plate like this, maybe I'd think differently, but I feel like this is going to be used differently than what it's being presented. And as we all know, there's ways around everything. And I appreciate what Assistant Attorney Smith said, but we all know that there's ways around things. So I'm more concerned than this.
Commissioner Schmidt, you had another comment?
Yeah, if the garage floor was above the floodplain and would have otherwise been legal, and this was just simply, oh, we can convert this to an ADU, okay, then I would have less issue. But clearly, Public Works has already made a ruling that it doesn't meet the requirements of a habitable space. And so I think that by allowing the full bathroom and kitchenette to remain, we're facilitating a non-conforming ADU that will be forgotten downstream.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Say.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree with what Commissioner Schmidt just said. Feel like we're aiding in something, a space being utilized where that is not allowable. And in particular with the flood zone issue, this is a life safety concern. I don't know if I should have asked earlier if there's any city liability in relation to this, if we all approve and let it, let that CUP be approved, and should there be some kind of catastrophe in the future, hopefully not, but I can't help but be concerned that, there's guidelines, there's reasons, there's rules, and, flood zone is a serious concern these days with rising sea level issues. And I feel like this application is finding a loophole to address an issue that on its own would not be able to stand on its own 2 feet.
And Commissioner Say, I can quickly address the city liability issue that you brought up there. I think I completely understand where you're coming from. The one point to keep in mind though is that should the commission choose to approve the conditional use permit, you are stating explicitly that it's not in a habitable place. It is not something that should be lived in. The city's making clear that they should not be living in it. So if they were to do so and they were to rent it out, that would be an illegal use of the property. So the city's liability, the city is not saying that they are allowed to put a person in there. I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want you to think that you should be going one way or the other, but in terms of liability or in terms of the commission taking action that puts someone's in harm's way, the commission's not saying that someone's allowed to live in here. In fact, we're explicitly saying that they aren't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Camerata.
Yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think the one issue that I have is that it kind of sets a precedence of people in the future doing this. And, I think that the problem is that we can't monitor everything. And I think having a bathroom in its own is not a problem, but I agree with the flood zone and I worry. I mean, I know we built our ADU, and last year when we had those storms, I was so nervous about the water coming in. I even mentioned that I think ADU should have a true foundation, because, you know, you just don't ever know. Water can seep in, and especially when it's in a flood zone. So I would agree with my fellow commissioners. I don't know that I could support this project.
Thank you. Commissioner Haran?
Yeah, I share the unease of my fellow commissioners for the reasons stated. I would be inclined to go along with a half bath, but not a full bath and a kitchenette, if the idea is convenience.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with Commissioner Haran. We have approved many garages in the past with a half bath, just a sink and a toilet. So in light of that, I think that, and being consistent, I could go along with a half bath. I think the shower should probably be removed. Obviously, the ADU is not on the table, so it's just a question of whether it's a full bath or not. So I would.
Chair Gull, if I may interrupt real quick, that is certainly an option for you this evening. Since the CUP would be an approval for something that's less than what they're applying for. I would just note that the applicant does have their hand up. It's up to you whether you want to reopen the public hearing, and that's perhaps something that you can certainly ask him if he's open to that as well. But it's up to you.
Yeah, I will reopen the public hearing. Is the applicant still present?
Yes, let me bring him in. Yeah, let me bring him in. Okay, Mr. Scoville, if you would like to speak, or if Chair Gull, if you would like to ask a question.
Yeah, actually, I think we're probably heading in the same direction. But Mr. Scoville, what I'm wondering is, if we were to pass this, that you could have a toilet and a toilet and a sink, and not a shower, and not obviously the kitchenette, would that be agreeable to you if we made that motion?
Yes, and I put my hand up because the kitchenette is storage. It's not a kitchenette or used as a kitchenette. And so yes, that would be agreeable.
Okay.
And
okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant on that discussion? Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah. And I'm not actually sure it's for the applicant. I think it's a sort of a, maybe for those of you in construction, isn't the flood issue the same with the toilet? Like, is there a way to raise the toilet? That I'm not really quite understanding. Is there something, right? It's water's water. Or
but we're not talking about the sewage water. We're talking about the bay water as being in the flood zone. That's why it's part of the FEMA requirement is groundwater.
Got it.
And the fact that you can't have habitable space unless it's raised to a certain flood elevation, but the garage is not habitable, and the bathroom is not counted as being habitable part of a garage. Chair Gull, if you could also ask if any other members of the public wish to speak as well.
Exactly what Ruben just said. No, are there any other members? Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this item? No. All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Oh,
well, I just want to say it's absolutely never was intended to be an ADU. No one ever lived there. No one ever will live there. That was absolutely not the intention, and there is a real foundation on it. And I will say, you know, it just, again, it's not people have the Public Works has actually been out and inspected the plumbing already. They put we put a backwater valve on the toilet to make sure there's no backwater that can come in. And anyway, it's all the plumbing and everything's been inspected. So it should be good in that respect.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. All right, commissioners, I think we all sort of know where this is headed. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a conditional use permit for a half bath.
Which would include?
Which would include a sink and toilet, no shower, no kitchenette.
All right, I'll second that motion. Any discussion on the motion? No, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Nay.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Fuff,
Aye.
and Chair Gall.
Aye. So the motion passes 6-1-0-0. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $745, which includes notice and costs. All right, that closed out our regular action items. We will move on to design review study on item 9A, 2313 Ray Drive. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? None. So let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
This is an application for design review and Hillside area construction permit for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling. Subject property is an interior lot that contains an existing one-story single unit dwelling and an attached garage. The lot is mostly flat until about the rear third, where it slopes downward approximately 20 feet to Mills Creek. The applicant is proposing an addition to the main floor at the rear of the house to convert the crawl space below the main floor into living area, and then expanding this living area to align with the addition above. With the proposed addition, the house will be 2 stories at the rear. There are no improvements proposed beyond the top of bank or the 100-year flood line for Mills Creek. The existing parking on the site meets code requirements for the proposed project. Required findings for design review and Hillside area are provided in the staff report. That concludes the presentation, and I can take any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? No, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jeff Gard. I'm representing the homeowners, the McConnell family. We are proposing what we think is a pretty modest addition with an objective of keeping the presence of the remodel addition pretty concealed from the street. So currently the family of 4 shares 1 bathroom. So one of the main objectives for the remodel and addition is to add 2 bathrooms to the house, 1 ensuite for the primary bedroom and 1 guest bathroom that can be used at the lower level of the house. Another objective we had was to create a playroom for the kids. Currently, they only have a living room that's off of all of the main areas of the house, the kitchen, the dining room, and the front entry. So the work downstairs will provide a family room, a media room, and a playroom for the kids and their guests. Another primary goal for the house was to create a safe passage to the lower level of the property, where we have a small flat area where for the kids to play soccer or play games. And currently there's no access to the lower portion of the lot. So having an interior staircase that takes us down to a terrace will allow us access both for maintenance and for the enjoyment of the family. So we think one of the objectives, one of the main objectives was to not infringe on the neighbors. So that was why we chose to build down instead of up, and to keep a minimum profile from the street, and also to keep all of the declining height envelope, to comply with the declining height envelope throughout the property. So, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions about the project.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? Vice Chair Fox.
Yeah, thank you very much for the explanation. Because there's not a 3D, I'm having trouble understanding what is happening on page, for example, A2-2. This is it looks to me like an attempt to bring in the shingle, some shingles into a couple of elements, and I'm not understanding exactly what's happening there. Is it a window box, or is that a very shallow window box, or what is that?
That's correct. We have two small bay projections that are essentially little window seats that project out approximately about 14 to 16 inches.
Okay.
And that picks up the shingle design from the front of the house.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Camarado.
Yeah, can you tell me the railing that's on the on A2.2, the railing that's at the very bottom, can you tell me what material that is?
Yeah, that'll be a painted metal railing.
Okay, and then what about the railing that's above?
That is just at the line of the wall, and it's like a Juliet balcony railing that's also painted metal.
Okay, so they're both the same type of metal on both those railings?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Say.
Yes, can you explain on sheet A 2.2, the rear let me see, is this the rear elevation? The proposed south elevation? I think that is the rear elevation.
Yes.
What is the makeup of the paneling and windows below the Juliet balcony? Is that a transom window above a slide or casement windows?
Yeah, we have a small transom up there. Yeah.
And then above the transom, is that some trim detail paneling?
That's correct. It's like a spandrel trim detail, so that it visually reads as one framed box in the stucco.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. I had one question. In your explanation, you said that there's 4 of you living there with 1 bathroom?
That's correct. 2 adults and 2 children.
Okay, this is approved in my opinion. I don't know how you can do that. Okay, I don't think the commission has any other questions. So do we have any members of the public who'd like to speak on this item? No, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or discussion? Commissioner Camarado.
Yeah, so I have a couple comments. I think that I'd like to see the railing and the Juliet balcony there just feels like it's a bit off. I'm not quite sure if it all should be the same. I look to my fellow commissioners to let me know what their thoughts are. I just feel like it's fine that it's metal, but you have one horizontal look and then one vertical look, and it just feels a little off there. The other thing are the 4 windows. I'm not quite understanding what's happening with those 4 windows in on that upper area. I think that possibly what could happen, what I'd like to see is a 3D rendering of this project. I think it would really give some details and see how things are laying out. But the deck material is a little bit bothersome, and then how those 4 windows are the layout is a little bit odd. And then what Commissioner Say said as well, that transom window there. I mean, I feel like I almost would like to get rid of that and have those windows be a little bit larger perhaps, and mimic the doors over to the right-hand side. But that area there just needs a little bit of work. Not a lot, but just a little bit.
Okay, Commissioner Schmidt.
I like it a lot. And I think the rear is becoming quite interesting. I appreciate that, you know, the gained space is really going to be under the main roof line and not be impactful upstream to other people. And so I think it's a pretty inventive solution to gain that space. And I can appreciate the one bathroom as well. So I'd like to see it go.
Okay, Commissioner Lowenthal.
Yeah, at this point, just to echo my fellow commissioners, I think it's a very nice project. I think Commissioner Camarado is right on. If they could produce a 3D rendering, it would help a lot of some of the little fuzzy things. But I think if you had 3D rendering, this would be definitely, I'd be in favor of this for approval.
Okay, Vice Chair Pfaff.
Yeah, I have, to echo Commissioner Say, because I think the same thing is happening in the window box area, I'm going to presume. I'm calling it the window box where it's shingled and the second story part. That blank space, is that what you were thinking of on the below the Juliet railing? Is that similar to, can I ask him? No, I'm not allowed to ask, am I? Well, anyway, it looks to me like the same. There's kind of a blank space between the windows on the upper jingled area and the below the railing, the Juliet railing. So I feel like this can work, but I feel like it would be great to see this as 3D. It's kind of hard to understand what's going on exactly. So that would be very much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. I just had a couple comments. I like the project a lot. I think that the window configuration helps to break up the verticality of the back of the house. So I'm okay with the window layout. The one that does get me is the two different railings. And I think if those were one way or the other, if they were either vertical or horizontal, both of them, I think it would be great. And of course, a rendering is always helpful, but I honestly like the design. It's just the railing I think could use a little cleanup. So with that, would anyone like to make a motion? Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, I move that we approve this project with the conditions in the staff report.
I'll second that.
So
Hang on one second.
This
This is not
is,
up for action.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
is on for study. So you would be making a motion to consent calendar or regular action.
I think that we would need to come back on regular action. There's a few too many questions here for others. So I would move that it comes back on the action.
I'll second that.
Okay, that was Commissioner Camarado with the second? Is that correct? Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt and a second by Commissioner Camarado. Any discussion on the motion? No? All right, then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff,
Aye.
and Chair Gall.
Aye. So the motion passes 7-0-0-0, I believe. Sorry, I lost track. And this is not appealable. So we'll move on to agenda item 9B, 2669 Martinez. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? No, then let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and Hillside area construction permit for a second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling at 2669 Martinez Drive, zoned R1. The subject property contains an existing two-story single-unit dwelling and an attached two-car garage. The applicant is proposing an addition to the main floor, which is considered to be a second story, at the rear of the house. The existing second floor deck would be demolished to accommodate the proposed addition. The proposed house would have a total floor area of 4,540 square feet, where 4,660 square feet is the maximum allowed. As noted, the subject property is located within the Hillside overlay zone. Hillside development shall be designed to preserve existing distant views. View preservation shall be limited to obstruction of distant views to San Francisco Bay, the San Francisco Airport, and Mills Canyon from primary indoor living areas such as living rooms and family rooms. The existing house contains 5 bedrooms, and with this project, there is no increase in the number of bedrooms. 3 parking spaces, 2 of which must be covered, are required on site. 2 covered spaces are provided in the attached garage, and an uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning code requirements have been met. And this concludes my summary of the staff report. Do you have any questions for staff?
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? And I do not see any hands, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Go ahead, David.
1 second. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. My name's David Popmacki. I'm the designer for this project. I'd like to thank you real quickly for your time. So first off, my client came to me because they were having some leaking in the lower portion of their house, and it was coming from their deck that is above living space. So we wanted to infill that with a roof of some sort to no longer have the deck and have the waterproofing issues that come with that. And that also then would create a larger living space. So when we came up with the ideas, we originally thought, hey, we have some neighbors that are above us. You know, we have issues with potential roofs additions and that it can become much larger. So our main focus of this addition was, one, to keep it in the deck area and to also keep it as low slope as possible to still keep an attractive design, but not to block the neighbors' views with this. We added a dining room, master bedroom area, and some master bedroom closets. So it's a pretty small project. And yeah, hopefully you guys feel this is okay for this this site. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? I have a question. Have you spoken with the uphill neighbor and reviewed the plans with them?
We've reviewed the plans with all neighbors, and I haven't heard back, but my client said that they heard back from the neighbors. I'm not sure if they heard back from the uphill neighbor.
Yeah, because that would be the neighbor that would be impacted the most.
Yeah, they said I'm sorry, I'm just looking at their text right now. I'm not sure if they're on this right now. They said they've spoken to both upper neighbors and back neighbor, and they are aware of the project.
Okay.
We've definitely sent it out. That was before starting any projects. We always, especially projects like this, we talk with neighbors, or at least inform my clients too, and we send out mailers to them with all plans.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Hi, this is Grace. I'm the owner of the project 2669 Martinez. We did actually speak to both upper neighbors, the one right next to us and above at the corner, and they are aware of this project. We actually went inside the 2 houses above us, then she just say, oh, just trim the tree, make sure I can see the airport. And, you know, thank you for letting me know about your project. As long as it doesn't block what I have right now, just do your tree trimming, which we did over the weekend. He spent 3 hours, so Larry, 3-4 hours trimming the tree. And the back neighbor also is aware of our project, and she just wished us good luck. So we did speak to our neighbors, and we want to be everyone in good terms, understanding what's going on without leaking. And we just hoping the space can be, project can be approved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions of the applicant, commissioners? And is there any member of the public who would like to speak on this item? Were there any comments received through email or Zoom chat?
Looks like we have one member of the public, or two members of the public that wish to speak. We also received a public comment email. I can read that after. So let me bring in the two speakers. The first is Brett Turchin. So as soon as he comes in, he can speak.
Hi there. Sorry. Hello, commissioners. I'm the downhill neighbor. I'm a tenant, not an owner. The existing deck overlooks our yard, and there's not a lot of privacy as it is. The only concerns I have is if that becomes livable space, there's really very little privacy for us. And I'm wondering if there's some foliage trees, something that could be planted in between to give us a little privacy. They don't really use the deck right now, so I haven't had it be an issue, but I work at home all day, I'm outside a lot, and that would be something that would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me bring in the next speaker. Okay, Miri, whenever you are ready, you may speak. Miri, if you can unmute, and we can't hear you, so if you can unmute yourself and go ahead and speak. Let me read the public comment email while, oh, Miri, can you go ahead and speak? There we go.
Yes, here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we live in Arwan Toledo Court, and we're the upper neighbor. The reason I spoke with the owner of the project is because his trees and bushes were blocking my view. And then he mentioned about the project. So I really I'm not familiar with the project except what I just looked at. And I would like them to just frame it like they usually do to see the space that they're going to be. And I'm concerned with also if the deck is extended, when they put umbrellas and patios, furniture, it's going to block my view. Definitely, they are going to block my view. So what I would like to know is, if possible, if they can put posts and, close the area with net or something to see how high that is going to be and how big is going to be the project, and if, in effect, block views or not block views.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ruben, do we have any other Zoom chat or email?
Yes, we do have an email. Let me pull that up. 1 second. Okay, this is from Benjamin Lambert. Hi, my name is Benjamin Lambert, and I live at 2653 Martinez Drive, just a few houses away from 2669. I strongly support the construction of a second story at 2669 for the following reasons. Doing so will greatly increase the value of the home, and the reappraised home value will flow directly into more taxes paid to support our schools. I have 2 young children in the Burlingame school system. It is essential that we keep growing our school tax base, and with Prop 13, allowing home alterations is a great way to do so. Doing so will increase the value of my home and surrounding homes because it will set a precedent that homeowners can expand their living space. At home where you can build is more valuable than a home where you can't. Doing so will improve the street's aesthetics. Right now, the street is dominated by generic older homes. A newly renovated home helps bring the street to life and makes it feel more architecturally diverse. And let me just check to make sure we don't have any others. That's it.
Okay. Then I am going.
Hold on a second. Sorry, there is Kevin Sloboda. Sorry, let me bring them in. Okay, Kevin, whenever you're ready, you may speak.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, we are neighbors that live one block above across the street on Martinez Drive. We live at 2704 Martinez Drive. And we just like to second the motion of our neighbor on 1 Toledo Court to just have story poles, constructed. So just to confirm there's any view obstruction or not.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Are there any other emails or Zoom chats?
I'm not seeing any.
All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or discussion? Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, normally in a situation like this, I am supportive of doing story polls because it does help the neighbors see what's going to happen. But the fact that this is not actually a second story addition, it's not going to be any taller than the ridge is now. So anybody who's to the north of this property isn't actually going to see the addition at all. It would only be the neighbor immediately next door on the right that would potentially see the side of the project. So it doesn't seem like requiring story poles is going to provide any advantage to anybody up the hill because it's just not that kind of an addition. I would appreciate that, that the homeowner, have those discussions with the two most immediate neighbors who voiced their concerns of privacy and or trees, which is kind of challenging because one is going to obstruct somebody else's view and the other one creates privacy. So it's going to be a delicate dance to make that work. But otherwise, I don't see any issues with doing this project. And I think it has really minimal to no impact to the uphill neighbors. So I'd like to see this one go through.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pfaff?
Yeah, I similarly thought it was nicely done, and just for the benefit of the person who commented about another deck, I don't think there's another deck on this home. I think the idea is that the space is completely enclosed, so it's probably less impactful than that would have been. However, I have a caveat. When I saw the property, there were no trees anywhere, no street trees, and I think it looks barren. And I think it's an opportunity to introduce in the public realm some trees, some appropriately sized trees. I'm pretty sure that Bob Disco has trees put in there regularly and within the 10 foot, I believe 10 foot beyond the curve, 10 feet is a city property, and for the purpose of planting trees, because there's no planter strip there. And so I'm only really okay with this project if it includes some foliage, and that would also include for the neighbor below, again, appropriately sized buffer trees. They don't have to be 30 feet tall or whatever. Something can be worked out. In the case of the street trees, that Bob Disco will know what is good for the Hillside area, that is not a view blocking, that however enhances the property and the property itself and all the other properties. And I think the neighbors or the architect can probably work or landscaper with what is appropriate for the lower, the actual property in between the properties, so that that everybody's comfortable with this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Haran.
Thank you. Since this is for design review, I think, likely it'll be coming back. So while I agree with Commissioner Schmid, I don't think there's any harm to allay the neighbors' concerns by putting up some simple story poles just to confirm what you already know, and what I agree with. So, and then, I don't know if it's now or when it comes back for action, the slope of the roof and the rear elevation windows are a bit off to me. So at some point it'd be good to comment on those.
Yeah, you can, this is a good time to speak on those because I was going to go there as well. So if you'd like to make some comments on those.
Yeah, I mean, the slope of that roof, while I really appreciate the intent of minimizing any impact on views, it just doesn't match anything else in the architecture of the house. So it looks a bit odd. It's a very long, shallow sloping roof. It would almost be better flat, in my opinion. But so it's just one concern. And then the real elevation with the large square windows seems very flat to me. And it seems like there could be some work to improve that rear elevation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I appreciate the effort to not block the views, and it's one way to do it. But architecturally, I don't think that this really fits in well with the house. I'm also concerned about the roofing material that would be used on there. I think I saw somewhere on here that you were going to use the asphalt shingles, but with a 1 in 12 slope, that's not going to fly. So you'd probably have to go to a modified or a tar and gravel roof or something. So I think that needs to be spelled out and looked at a little bit closer. And I too would prefer to err on the side of caution and have the story poles installed, because we don't know who can or cannot see or whose view may be blocked. So I would opt to require the story poles as well. Again, it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me because it's on the back of the house and I don't know how much it's going to impact anyone, but it really does look like an addition. And typically I like to see things that blend in with the house a little bit more. But the story poles I think are a must. All right, any other comments or comments or discussion on this project by the commission? All right, then I will make a motion to bring this project back on regular action after the story poles have been installed, and that I'm hoping that the architect can maybe try to tie this in a little bit more with the existing architecture of the house.
Second that motion.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, we have a motion by Chair Gall and a second by Commissioner Haran. Can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid.
Aye.
Commissioner Say.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff.
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0-0-0, and this is not appealable. We'll move on to agenda item 9C, 839 Crossway. If you are the applicant or the applicant's representative, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit this project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding the project? So no recusals. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review for a new 2-story single unit dwelling. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing single unit dwelling and to build a new 2-story single unit dwelling. The rear portion of the existing detached garage and an attached storage area will be converted to a new accessory dwelling unit. The existing garage and driveway provide parking spaces as required by code for the proposed 5-bedroom house. So the applicant is requesting design review, and the required findings are listed in the staff report. that concludes the presentation, and I'll take any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? I do not see any hands, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
We can see you, Babak, but we can't hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you see me now or hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Babak. I'm designer of project, and thank you so much for your time. And I will be more than happy if you have any question or concern, to answer. So I just wanna, say that, the project is one story, the existing house is, 1 story house. And, we just, I think that, you mentioned that, we're gonna demolish the whole structure, but, we're gonna keep some existing walls and, demolish the rear side of the house, because now it's blocking the, turnaround area for the cars, to provide the, enough space for the cars to access to the garage. We just demolished the, rear side of that, and, keep some exterior walls and interior walls. But since, we demolish more than, 50% of the exterior walls, the project considered as a brand new project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? I had a question on your proposed first floor plan. So you're on the, let's see, as you're facing the house, the front room on the right, you're keeping the exterior walls, but you're building the corners out. Is that correct? So that's how you're creating that recess in there?
Yes, yes.
Is that an architectural solution or element, or is that a structural solution? I noticed that there was a big beam that goes kind of through the front of the house there.
Yeah, correct. Actually, there's a beam on the wall there, so we just keep that beam. But overall, we wanted to, have a, type of corner element, and we just didn't want it as a kind of more solid. We break the walls and push the window, inside, to break the corner more, to the corner element more. But we keep, the existing wall as is.
Okay. Okay. I'm a little bit lost on, could you maybe label the architectural style that you feel the house is leaning towards? Or I'm a little bit confused there, what I'm seeing.
Actually it's a type of, modern farmhouse style, more like that, having a stucco and a type of, wood siding with type of standing, metal, roof in entry. That's a type of, architecture there.
Okay. And then I noticed on the site plan, your air conditioning unit for the ADU is kind of in an odd spot. And I'm assuming that there would be an AC unit for the main dwelling as well. Do you have a location for that unit?
We were thinking, we have a, type of, if you look at the site plan, on the top side, where we showed the, existing electrical meter to be relocated, there is a space there. We're gonna put the condenser units for the main house on there.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's all the questions that I had.
Sure.
Are there any other questions of the applicant? Okay, then do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item, or were there any comments received through email or Zoom chat?
Commissioner Gall, I do have one email that I received, and I'll go ahead and read that into the record now. My name is Bill Schlatter. I live at 843 Crossway Road with my wife, Susan Ripper, and our 2 young children. Our house is next door to the northwest of 839 Crossway, so we share a fence line. The presented plans maintain the driveway directly adjacent to our property. This layout is important to us because it represents the only means for equipment to access our backyard, should such access be needed in the future. We also appreciate the planned landscaping on the northwest wall of the house that would replace the existing concrete pad between the house and the driveway. We would like the following points clarified if possible. Number 1, the driveway gate position moves toward the rear of the property with respect to the existing position by roughly 12 feet. However, the drawings do not show the current fence. Is the intent to remove or change the current fence that exists between the new gate and the street? Number 2, the existing garage has a jerkin head roof profile with gable vents. However, in the plans, the gable vents have been deleted and the apex of the roof has been flattened. Will the existing garage roof be modified as shown in the plans? Number 3, there's an existing tree shown in the plans on the front property line. If this is one of the fig trees, please clarify the location, as the existing fig trees are set back a few feet from the property line. And number 4, will the existing exterior walls that are remaining be supported by the existing foundation? Finally, we would like the development of this property to proceed as quickly as possible. Our children are at a perfect age to watch the construction from our roof deck. If there's anything we can do to clarify our questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Sincerely, Bill and Susan. There are 4 questions in there, Commissioner Gall, so that you could choose to have the applicant address each of those. I could read them out, or the applicant could respond to them when they return to the next hearing.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to those questions at this time, or do you want to address them in the next round of questions? The next round, which would be at the.
We will add the next round.
Okay, all right, and those will be in the public record, and you can also get them repeated by the planning staff. Vice Chair Pfaff.
Is this the question part or the comment part?
This is questions for the applicant.
Okay, no, I was going right into it. No.
All right, so we do not have any other members of the public or any more Zoom chat or email. Then I am going to close the public hearing. And now, commissioners, do you have any comments? Vice Chair Pfaff.
So for myself, I am having a really hard time understanding any predominant style. I don't know what it wants to be. And this happens sometimes with, some projects we've had in the last few months. I don't understand where it's going. It's got the bungalow, kind of the bungalow roof on the left with the shed, and then it has this element that's, I think, very tall. I asked staff during the week, and I think it's a 15 or over 15 tall in the front, which is pretty aggressive and tall. And then the windows are all different. Then it has the elements in the back. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on exactly. Even though we have the 3D, it's not holding together for me. And then in addition, there are no street trees and there are none that I could find in the plan. So I think it needs, as far as setting, it certainly needs work. The house next to it on the corner is very special. And I think this just needs quite a bit of work in my view. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands, so I'm going to jump in. I would agree with your comments. I think the architectural elements are kind of all over the board. You have clear story windows on some of the gables, and you have gable end vents on others. The roof pitches are 3.5 and 8 in 12, which really doesn't work well together. That's half of the roof pitch. You could get close and try to do something. I think that it's a little bit tall. With a 9-foot plate height on the second floor, that could be reduced down to 8, which is what we normally see, which would help a lot. The proportions of the windows and the styles of the windows are kind of all over the board. So I'm with Commissioner Pfaff on this, and I personally think that this would be a good candidate for a design review consultant, but I will defer to my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Haran, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I generally agree. I mean, on the one hand, it's a good looking house, but on the other hand, it has all of those issues you just described. It also comes across, I think, as just heavy. It looks like a lot of house for that property. So I think if they articulated it differently, maybe it would look a little bit lighter. And then just two other kind of personal comments. One is, if you're going to have a front porch, it should be usable. I think a 5-foot wide front porch is not a great width for something that is truly usable. So I would love to see a front porch that really invites furniture and people to hang out on. And then I'm not getting the kind of the use of a 2nd-story balcony at the front. It's very narrow. It's looking over parked cars on the street. I don't know how a bedroom is going to take advantage of a 2nd-floor balcony the way that's currently indicated. So just some comments for the design review.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, I'm finding the fact that the first floor and the second floor are essentially the same square footage. It's making a really tall, large box, and everything is very block. So I'm not feeling like any of the elevations are really holding together much. And I think the corner elements are not helping. Being that they are tall and just blocked. It looks like a retail store with a house on top. And so I think we need to come back with something quite a bit softer to fit into that area, especially given that a lot of those homes are still on the smaller side. So I'm not really seeing a good design here right now.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Camerado.
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I also would like to see some detail possibly on the east and west elevation. I feel like those walls are pretty blank. And the windows are of concern. So we've got different kinds of windows. So I think this is a great candidate for design review. So I'd like to make a motion to have this go to design review.
I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? I see some hands up. Are those hands again, or are those new?
Just trying to lower.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Then we have a motion by Commissioner Camerado, second by Chair Gall. And is there any discussion on the motion? Anything that anyone else would like to add that the design review consultant might be able to look at if in fact that's the way this goes? No? Okay. Then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Hold on. Actually, I do.
Okay.
I want to add a little feedback on that.
All right.
Because I agree, if we don't send some feedback on this, it might not come back any better. I really, some of the comments made this evening are, what style is this? And I think that is really the burning question, is what does this house want to be? If that direction isn't kind of communicated to the design review consultant, they're not going to be able to truly help. So I think that the architect and the applicant need to really think through that a little bit more. so that they can at least then have a better communication with the design review consultant, and we can get a better product back and make it approvable. Because I'd really like to make it a better experience, not harder. Thank you.
Good. All right, thank you. Vice Chair Fafa, is your hand up again?
Yeah, similarly, in order to give direction, if the back area, it looks like the garage and the ADU and everything, it's all, has a, I believe, a distinct kind of Dutch style. Maybe that's something that could be worked off of, because that seems to be staying put and being added onto. And so maybe to go off of a style that's already there and fixed would be better than trying 5 others on the bulk of the building. Because I think the architect can manage something beautiful. It's just they need to pick one, pick something and go with it that holds together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second. And if there's no further discussion, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Calvarado.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Lowenthal.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid.
Aye.
Commissioner Say.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pfaff.
Aye.
Chair Gall.
Aye. So the motion passes 7-0-0-0, and this is not appealable. All right, well, that brings us to the end of design review study. We go on to agenda item number 10, commissioners' reports. Are there any commissioners' reports? Nope. All right, and then we'll go to agenda item 11, directors' reports.
So there's nothing to report from the last city council meeting since they were also on break. And we do have one FYI, which is some changes requested by the Planning Commission for a project that was approved at 128 Elm Avenue. Don't know if you have any concerns about that one.
Would anyone like to see that item pulled? I don't see any hands.
Okie dokie. I think that's all we have for this evening.
All right. Then
So great first meeting, yeah, back after break.
Yeah.
So great job, everyone.
And I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 8:43 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.